In his selfish quest to save his mother's life, the Flash, Barry Allen, used his powers to turn back time. Although successful in saving his mother, he caused a ripple effect across time and reality, changing the world's past, present, and future into a much darker and a more dangerous place. In this new reality, Thomas Wayne survived the murder of his son Bruce and became the Batman of Gotham City, while his wife Martha Wayne became the Joker. The Amazons of Themyscira, led by their queen Wonder Woman, conquered England, and the Atlanteans, led by Emperor Aquaman, waged war with the Amazons while physically destroying Europe along with many countries. And Superman was kept out of the sun as a government experiment known as Subject 1, not knowing his Kryptonian roots and never achieving love from his adoptive parents. It is a world on the brink of tectonic destruction. It is a world not meant to exist. Welcome to DCNES, and today let's deep dive once more on what happened to our major heroes in this twisted world of Flashpoint. The story begins with the Flash Barry Allen not immediately aware that he created the Flashpoint Timeline. Somehow, his mind still contains his memories from his New Earth timeline. Waking up from his desk, Barry Allen slowly realized his work environment has changed before he hears that a rogue named Miss Alchemy is engaging in a felony. Barry starts running to get there only to fall down a nearby flight of stairs. This alone is a puzzle to him, but then he is greeted by an even bigger shock. Nora Allen, his mother, still alive in the present day and coming to visit him, who also mentioned that he is gay.
To do with me being
Gay.
what?
He also finds Iris to be happily married to someone else.
Mommy!
He was also fleetingly visited by Professor Zoom, who has retained his powers despite Barry losing his. Barry begins asking his mother about how much the world has changed. It seems that whatever has happened to the world, Nora Allen has no notion of Superman nor the Flash, but she has heard of the Batman of Gotham City. From his New Earth timeline memory, Barry Allen knows the location of the Batcave, but he was surprised by the changes to the decor. In place of trophies and evidence, there is only bats. In the location once occupied by Jason Todd's Robin costume is a stand with a gun. At this point, Batman arrived and began beating him up. Barry tried to talk him down by calling him Bruce, but this does not have the desired effect. Catching sight of a Wayne family portrait, Barry arrives by a horrible process of elimination at a new conclusion. Thomas Wayne is the Batman, and the world has changed almost beyond recognition. The young Bruce Wayne died, so his parents became the Batman and the Joker. Thomas Wayne continued in beating up Barry Allen as Barry tries to explain about his secret identity as the Flash and his relation to Bruce Wayne. Barry's memories spontaneously change, for he suddenly remembers the flooding of Western Europe by Aquaman and the siege of London by the Amazons and renaming it New Themyscira. Barry then realized that the world of Flashpoint is not an alternate dimension, but his own. Barry's ring, which he uses to contain his Flash outfit, falls from his pocket and he decides to use his costume as proof of his secret identity. However, the ring instead ejects the Reverse Flash's costume, and Barry tells Thomas that the Reverse Flash is taunting him with it. Barry explains that both he and the Reverse Flash have the ability to alter time, leading Thomas Wayne to ask him about how Bruce was to have lived in his place and if he can really change the world. Barry then said that he first needs his speed. So, Barry then created an electric chair to reenact the accident that turned him into the Flash. A bolt of lightning strikes the chair and Barry Allen catches fire. Batman doused the flames and saw an unconscious Barry, whose skin suffered severe burns. Nearly dead from his first attempt, Barry Allen asks Thomas Wayne to let him try to regain his powers once more. He wants to do this to combat the forced memory changes he's experiencing as a result of the time alteration. Seeing no alternative, Thomas reluctantly consents and they were successful.
told you I was fast.
After accomplishing this goal, Barry and Thomas teamed up with Cyborg to locate Superman. The trio is able to get to the extremely pale, lanky, and depowered Man of Steel without incident, but are quickly set upon by armed guards when they started to escape. In an unforeseen turn of events, the depowered Superman abandoned them soon after they emerged into the outside world. With guards who have been authorized to use lethal force at their backs and the Man of Steel gone, the makeshift trio faced a sticky situation. The Flash, Batman, and Cyborg have difficulty fending off the guards until they are rescued by Element Woman. Flash's memories began to change much more drastically, altering his past, and states that he is running out of time and soon he will not be able to restore the timeline to normal. In order to slow down the process, Batman gave him an anti-epileptic to lessen his brain electrical activity. Then they went to Fawcett City to ask Billy Batson to use his lightning to prevent the Flash's memories from changing even, and doing so, Billy saw the memories of his DC timeline counterpart. The group then heard of the failed air assault on England with Hal Jordan being the first casualty and a giant tidal wave that will wipe out the rest of New Themyscira. The Flash told Batman that he cannot just stand by as people die if he failed to stop the Reverse Flash and the world will destroy itself. Despite Batman's initial arguments, he joined the Flash as the group headed off to the New Themyscira in Batman's plane and were joined by Enchantress. As the final battle between the Amazons and the Atlanteans rages, Professor Zoom looms over the Flash. Enraged, Barry demanded to know what he had done to the time stream to create this reality. However, to Barry's surprise, Zoom revealed that it was Barry who had created this universe when he stopped Zoom from killing his mother. Doing so had shattered history, causing the world of Flashpoint to occur. Barry broke free from Zoom's grasp and the two began their fight before Batman stopped them. He figured they need to remove Thawne from the equation, but the madman beats Batman to a pulp, declaring that it was backwards, that Barry had already done that to his own equation. He revealed to Barry and Thomas that because of his alteration to the Speed Force while he was traveling, he became a living paradox, free from history and free to do whatever he sees fit. As he gloats that Barry can't kill him, he's shown a loophole when Thomas skewers him with a sword. Before the end of the war, Thomas gave Barry a letter to give to Bruce. With one last nudge, Barry raced into the time stream, only to be pulled back to his home where his mother waits. In their home, Barry divulged that it was his fault that his world came to be and that he can't accurately fix things without the cosmic treadmill. His mother told him that if he got to her by using her as some sort of lightning rod, he could do the same to his other self. Barry became hesitant, not wanting to lose her again, but Nora asked how many people had died because of this. Barry then chased after his past self. He was able to catch up to him and reluctantly stopped him and attempted to hop back into the time stream. However, he saw three timelines in doing so: normal DCU, Vertigo, and Wildstorm, and is confronted by a mysterious woman who revealed that the three universes were splintered into three to allow an invasion to arrive. However, she needed the three unified and used Barry to do so, costing him something valuable. And so, the new 52 Multiverse was born. Soon, Barry wakes up in his office, realizing everything was fixed. He soon races to the Batcave to confront Bruce. There, he reveals what had happened, feeling bad that he allowed it to occur. Bruce reassures him slightly by saying he would have done the same thing. Barry then realizes he still has fond memories of being with his mother. Bruce wistfully suggests it was a gift of sorts to make things feel better for him. In return, Barry gives Bruce the letter Thomas gave him. In shock, Bruce reads it and finds himself reading it intently, bringing himself to tears before thanking him for doing so.
Death to the Underdwellers! Kill them! Kill them all!
Next is a ruthless and vengeful version of Wonder Woman. In the Flashpoint reality, Diana's path is darker and more militaristic. The war between the Amazons and Atlanteans is central to this alternate history, and Wonder Woman's role is pivotal in shaping the global conflict. Diana's upbringing follows the traditional Amazonian culture centered on warrior training, honor, and isolation from the outside world. She is still the strongest, most skilled warrior of the Amazons, trained from a young age to embody their ideals of strength and leadership. She is the daughter of Queen Hippolyta, raised as the princess of the Amazons. 14 years ago, Diana tried to sail away from Themyscira, but she was attacked by a baby kraken. She was poisoned by it, but she was saved by Arthur, Prince of Atlantis. The key difference in the Flashpoint timeline lies in how Diana first interacts with the world beyond Themyscira. Instead of Steve Trevor being the first human she meets, which is in the traditional Wonder Woman origin, Diana's first encounter with the outside world is through the Atlanteans led by Aquaman, Prince Arthur. Their nations soon bond over their shared isolation from the rest of the world and their mutual disdain for humanity's destructive nature. Both Diana and Arthur are still idealistic and hopeful about the future. To solidify the alliance between the Amazons and Atlanteans, Diana and Arthur plan to unite their nations through marriage. This union would create the most powerful force on the planet, allowing them to dominate and protect the world as they see fit. The marriage is intended to be both a political and personal partnership, as Arthur and Diana began to develop feelings for each other during their negotiations. Soon, Themyscira prepared for the wedding and opens its doors to global dignitaries. Unbeknownst to them all, a conflict was being manufactured by Penthesilea, one of the advisors of Hippolyta, and Orm, brother of Arthur. Both Penthesilea and Orm abhors the union. On the day of their wedding, Artemis, a loyal soldier of Penthesilea, took the armor of Garth, Ward of Atlantis. Artemis took his trident and shot Hippolyta with it in front of the public. Hippolyta died on Diana's arms, and Artemis, now wearing her local dress, threw Garth in the ceremony, claiming it was he who did it. Penthesilea immediately killed Garth. Penthesilea then threatened the Atlanteans to leave, and this started the war. Right after the funeral rite of Queen Hippolyta, Arthur arrived in Themyscira with numerous Atlantean ships as a show of strength under the veil of a peace talk. He offered his condolences and a fervent wish for peace, as he doesn't want surface dwellers to solely have sympathy to the Amazons. However, Orm and Penthesilea had another plan up their sleeves. While Arthur was meeting with Diana, several explosions transpired in Themyscira, leading Diana to think they were being attacked by Atlantis. At the same time, several explosions also happened on the Atlantean ships, in which Orm said they were being also attacked. Arthur tried to explain they were being deceived, but Diana attacked him and was pulled by Penthesilea to break the seal of Tartarus, which would destroy the island but kill the Atlanteans. They then escaped from the island aboard their invisible jets. Since Themyscira is built on a volcano, everyone evacuated while the entire island was being leveled, wherein thousands of Atlanteans died. In the assembly of global ambassadors, Arthur then declared a war between two ancient nations. The air armada of the Amazons requested sanctuary in the British Isles. When the United Kingdom denied their request, the Amazons led an open invasion of the United Kingdom and conquered the lands. They called London as New Themyscira. 32 million were slaughtered when the Amazons claimed the United Kingdom. Later, Diana would discover Steve Trevor trying to rescue Lois Lane, who was infiltrating the Amazons, and discovered that Cyborg and other superhumans are planning to intervene in the war. Diana, now Queen of the Amazons, will then kill Steve Trevor.
The Queen of the Amazons is a servant to her people. Nothing is beneath her.
Diana then gathered a group of superpowered women, later called the Furies, who reinforced the Amazonian army. One of these Furies is Tara Markov, a princess of Markovia, who has the power to move lands. The other Furies include Hawkgirl, Huntress, Cheetah, Vixen, and Starfire, among others. They are the world's fiercest females and they swore to be loyal to Queen Wonder Woman. These Furies were added to the ranks of the Amazons, making them the most ruthless fighting force in the world. While in the port of Dover, Diana and the Furies were attacked by a group of Atlanteans led by Queen Mera. Much to Diana's frustration, as she is also a friend of Mera and treated her like sister, Diana beheaded Mera. Heartbroken, she started to wear Mera's helm as a reminder of what this war has cost to all of them. Upon knowing of Mera's death, Arthur tasked Orm to deploy the Geopulse device to drown the continent of Europe. This Geopulse device is actually King Brian of Markovia trapped in a machine. The Geopulse brought a cataclysm to the European nations that drowned many of its cities, killing millions of civilians. Terra then used her powers to lift the heartland of England more than half a mile clear of the rising sea levels. The Amazons will then flourish in this lifted land of New Themyscira. Later, Diana discovered the relationship between Orm and Penthesilea. It was revealed that the main goal of Orm and Penthesilea was to keep Atlantis and Themyscira as warrior nations. They knew that Diana and Arthur's union will end their martial traditions, so they planned for their demise. However, before Diana can punish her aunt, the Atlanteans made their second attack on the Amazons. This time, Diana was the one who tried to explain that they were deceived, but Arthur's mind is already clouded. Despite the intervention of the resistance, the battle continued. Captain Thunder attacked Diana, but he was deceived by the Enchantress and brought him back to his children form. Diana then killed the Shazam children. Finally, Superman intervened to stop Arthur and Diana, but Arthur has already started his main seismic attack to sink Britain. Nevertheless, Flash successfully healed the timeline. In the Flashpoint Paradox animated movie of 2013, she and Aquaman formed an alliance between the Atlanteans and the Amazons, which led into an affair. Aquaman's wife Mera found out about the affair and nearly assassinated the Amazon Queen. But Wonder Woman won, beheaded Mera, and wore her crown as a warning. With the death of Mera, Aquaman declared war on the Amazons. A series of battles impacted the continent of Europe. In the final battle, Aquaman activated a doomsday device to totally destroy the world after being impaled by Wonder Woman. Aquaman's doomsday device is actually Captain Atom, who caused a huge nuclear explosion. With the impending destruction, Diana remorsefully held the body of the dead Atlantean king. In the bottom version of Flashpoint, the Flashpoint timeline was inexplicably revived with Thomas Wayne meeting his son Bruce, also as a Batman. Aquaman and Wonder Woman forge an alliance to take down a mutual enemy who is Batman. As both monarchs send their troops to Batman's lair, the world is erased, killing every single inhabitant. In the Flashpoint Beyond series, once again, the Flashpoint timeline was revived. Here, Wonder Woman and the Amazons lost against the Atlanteans, and the world's heroes failed to stop the war. Weeks after, the Atlanteans refortified the British Isles, and no one has been able to get in or out, while the Amazons are being executed day after day by Emperor Aquaman, who continuously threatened the world. However, in this version, the Flash was killed, and Thomas Wayne need to know who and why the Flashpoint timeline was revived. Meanwhile, Wonder Woman is tied in the dungeon with her own lasso. Batman, Thomas Wayne, freed her in exchange of borrowing the lasso. Batman used the lasso on Aquaman to get answers for his questions, but Aquaman was innocent. Nevertheless, this gave Wonder Woman the chance to kill Aquaman. Almost immediately, the Amazons took back Britain, but would later battle the Sentinels of Magic with Sebastian Faust and Son of Saturn. Orin, aka Arthur Curry, aka Emperor Aquaman, led the forces of Atlantis in a bloody war with Queen Wonder Woman's armies, destroying most of Europe in this Flashpoint Earth. When Barry Allen went back in time and changed the timeline, Aquaman's history was also rewritten. 26 years ago, Thomas Curry saved a weak and wounded woman from the harsh waves of a storm in front of his lighthouse. Her name was Atlanta, and almost instantly, Thomas Curry fell in love. Atlanta fell in love too and became pregnant within months. However, soldiers from Atlantis found her and attacked them in the lighthouse. The soldiers took the pregnant Atlanta back to their king. When Arthur was born, Atlanta died of childbirth. Viewed as an unfit offspring, the king commanded for the baby Arthur to be disposed on Mercy Reef, abandoning them to the predators. Fortunately, his power of talking to all sea creatures kicked in. He was kept safe by the creatures and delivered into the doorstep of his father, Thomas Curry. Arthur spent his childhood on land and even attended a Catholic school. He was quite unhappy on land as every fish in the sea kept telling him that he should become the king of the seas. On his 13th birthday, the king of Atlantis died and the vizier sent Atlantean soldiers to retrieve him as he is the rightful king. Thomas was killed by the soldiers in the process. And so, Arthur Curry returned to the deep, too young to understand the virtues his father had tried to teach him: patience, kindness, humility. Everything he learned in the martial academy toughened his heart against the surface world that tried to deny him his birthright. In Atlantis, fortune favors the strong, and Arthur was stronger than any Atlantean had ever been. All sea life bowed to his will. Even Prince Orm, who was groomed by the previous king to succeed him, was forced to step aside, acknowledging that Arthur was the chosen one. Later, Aquaman met and saved Diana, who was wounded by a sea creature. Arthur and Diana over the years developed a special friendship and planned to unite their two ancient kingdoms through marriage. However, Diana's mother, Hippolyta, was killed on their wedding day. It was pinned on Garth, an Atlantean ward close to Arthur, who was then immediately killed on that day. Because of this, the first stage of their war started and destroyed the island of Themyscira in the process, pushing for the Amazons to conquer England. When his marriage to Wonder Woman did not go through, Arthur married Mera, his lifelong love, and became his queen. Somehow, Mera was provoked to lead a small strike force to ambush Wonder Woman. However, Mera failed and Diana cut her head off. With Mera's death, Aquaman, now full of hatred, used his doomsday device, a subdued meta-human who has the power to shake tectonic plates and gravity itself, who was also the king of Markovia. This caused Western Europe to sink into the sea, killing over 100 million people, intending to sink England as well. Aquaman is later seen alongside his brother Orm, aka the Ocean Master, in the flooded remains of Paris, where they attack the pirate Deathstroke and his crew members Sonar, Icicle, and Clayface. After taking them out, Aquaman then left the pirate Deathstroke to die as he had other work to do. The death of Hippolyta was, however, revealed to be a casualty of war, as the real target was Wonder Woman. A plot between Orm and Penthesilea to prevent the union of Aquaman and Wonder Woman was also revealed. Later, Aquaman reassigns Siren and Ocean Master to assassinate Tara Markov, aka Terra, in New Themyscira. The mission failed, with Siren being killed by Diana's aunt, Penthesilea. The Amazonian Furies then attack the reinforcements led by Aquaman, who is confronted in battle by their leader, Wonder Woman, who single-handedly broke into the flagship of Aquaman's armada. During their struggle, Wonder Woman tells him that they have both been deceived. She discovers that his brother Orm and her aunt Penthesilea are both responsible for the war between the Atlanteans and the Amazons, and that it was a ruse planned by them. The Atlanteans decided to go to the surface, but their attack is backfired by Ocean Master, so Aquaman believed Diana had set a trap. Likewise, Volko thought they were being attacked again by the Amazons, so he turned on the Doomsday device once more, causing massive seismic quakes around Britain. Diana escapes from Aquaman, who refused her ward. Aquaman then arrived on New Themyscira. A final battle is waged between Emperor Aquaman and Wonder Woman. However, they are both approached by the Flash and the heroes, who are there to stop the war. Kal-El arrived and charged into Aquaman and Wonder Woman at the final battle. Finally, the Flash restores the original timeline, yet radically changes it.
Meddlers, they're in my way.
In the animated movie, Aquaman's actions for war was mainly motivated by the death of Mera, and his doomsday device was Captain Atom. In the Flashpoint Beyond series, the Flashpoint timeline was revived, but with a version where Aquaman has won and defeated the Amazons.
Cyborg? I surrender.
Victor Stone, aka Cyborg, is America's greatest hero and resistance leader in this dystopic alternate timeline of Flashpoint. He works directly for the president and his industrial headquarters is in Detroit. He was one of the few people who first welcomed Abin Sur on Earth, and he solely took down the entire Legion of Doom. In this story, he put together a resistance group in the US consisting of powerful heroes and villains to stop the war between Aquaman and Wonder Woman's forces. This consisted of the Shazam Kids, Green Lantern Abin Sur, Blackout, Pied Piper, Enchantress, Rack Shade, The Outsider, Sandman Wesley Dodds, Captain Cold, Element Woman, and Batman Thomas Wayne. However, some of the heroes in this list were not sure they wanted to team up with known villains. The heroes he approached all then refused when Batman declined, thinking it's suicide without the strategic mind of Batman.
Now we've got a chance to stop this war and save the world.
War's over, soldier. You just don't know it yet.
Meanwhile, he was also the handler of Jimmy Olsen, who was the original spy for the US in New Themyscira. Before that role went to Lois Lane. Cyborg was later relieved of his duty by the US president when contact with the resistance in the Amazon-occupied United Kingdom is cut off due to a traitor among the heroes that Cyborg tried to recruit. When Flash successfully obtained the Speed Force in this timeline, Cyborg was then summoned by Batman and the Flash for his help in tracking down Project Superman, the government branch responsible for raising Kal-El after his rocket destroyed Metropolis upon its arrival. Cyborg agreed to join the cause to stop Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and the trio infiltrated Project Superman and freed Kal-El using Sonic Boom. The facility's guards chased them, and Kal-El used his powers against the guards, but instantly left them to find Lois Lane. They started to become worried about the guards who are increasing in number until they are rescued by Element Woman. Later, Cyborg and the other heroes recruited the Shazam Kids, called the other heroes and villains previously recruited by Cyborg, and traveled to the United Kingdom, aka New Themyscira, where the conflict between the Amazons and Atlantis escalated. Cyborg fought forces from both sides and saved the surviving Shazam Kids. Eventually, the Flash restored the timeline, but the mysterious Pandora alters it into an entirely new form. In the Convergence series, New Earth heroes and Flashpoint heroes were made to fight each other. Cyborg, together with Abin Sur and Captain Thunder, fought the New Earth Superman. In the animated movie of Flashpoint Paradox, Cyborg was killed by Aquaman by tearing him apart piece by piece.
Hero.
In the world of Flashpoint, even if the arrival of the baby Superman on Earth happened way before the death of Barry's mother, the circumstances of baby Superman's arrival were also changed when Barry went back in time to save his mother, as it has caused a ripple effect on events that happened before that. In this changed timeline, Kal-El was one of the dozens of Kryptonian children launched from the dying planet to act as advanced scouts to start an invasion and later to colonize their adoptive worlds. Kal-El's rocket crashed directly into Metropolis instead of Smallville, with the resulting impact causing deaths of 35,000 civilians and the decimation of Metropolis. As a result of the crash, the memories and the instructions stored on crystals in his ship were not downloaded into his mind, leaving him ignorant of his true purpose. Instead of being adopted by the Kent couple, the government took custody of baby Kal-El and initiated Project Superman. a military project with the sole purpose of creating a super soldier that could be used against America's enemies. Cal is designated as Subject 1, and they discovered and experimented on the many powers of Cal. They discovered that Cal's every cell in his body operates like a battery, taking energy from sunlight. In the cold and harsh environment inside the project's laboratories, Cal grows to become a solitary and very thin boy who has difficulty getting close to people. Since Superman's powers derive from Earth's yellow sun, not having it made him weak and frail, not even knowing the extent of his abilities. His powers are severely diminished due to the lack of solar energy, and he has no idea of his Kryptonian heritage or potential. Cal's only sources of love and companionship are General Sam Lane, who loves him as the son he never had, and Krypto, who is designated as Subject 2. Krypto is a Kryptonian dog that was sent to Earth along with Kal-El. Their spaceship crashed in Metropolis, being collected and covered up by the government. General Lane gave him the name Cal based on the unreliable translation of alien text on the ship. General Lane trained Cal into becoming the hero that the world needs. Cal is then contacted by Subject Zero, the very first person inducted into Project Superman. Having obtained superpowers from the experiments, Zero talks to Cal in a volume only he can hear. Zero trained Cal in the use of his powers, including X-ray vision, for the next 3 years. Aside from teaching Cal to see through walls, he made him see how the others were treated and how magnetic locks work. Cal witnessed as Lionel Luthor and his son Lex visited the project grounds. However, Zero mind-controlled the dog Krypto and unleashed him on the Luthors, who bit Lex and attacked the soldiers, forcing them to kill Krypto, much to Cal's grief. However, Cal managed to reach Zero's chambers and destroyed the lock with his heat vision, unleashing Zero. As Zero wreaks havoc across the base, Cal returns to General Lane's office where he meets Lois, General Lane's daughter. Cal and Lois, intrigued by each other, try to reach for the other's hands when Zero comes in. Zero tries to kill Lois as revenge for the experiments her father conducted on him, but Cal defended her. Zero, thanking Cal for letting him escape, tried to kill them both, but General Lane appeared with a harness that sealed them both in the Phantom Zone, and both Lois and Cal lost a father that day. Later, General Nathaniel Adam takes over Project Superman, imposing a more strict schedule on Cal. Returning to his cell, Cal used his heat vision to draw a picture of Lois on the glass. Cal would reach maturity in his time in Project Superman. When Cyborg formed the Resistance, the Flash, Batman, and Cyborg planned to free Cal from his cell so that he could join them in their mission to stop the war between the Amazons and the Atlanteans and return the time stream to normal. They managed to free Cal, exposing him to yellow sunlight for the first time. Instantly, his Kryptonian powers begin to activate, though initially he struggles to control them. His new abilities make him nervous and fearful, especially since he has been isolated and has no concept of normal social interactions. Nevertheless, he quickly becomes a vital force in the Resistance fight against the looming threats in the world. However, Cal, remembering Lois, flies away from the three heroes and goes to England, now ruled by the Amazons. Moreover, Cal's release from the project labs had also destroyed the power source that had kept Zero in the Phantom Zone, allowing Zero to break free. As Cal reaches England, he finds that Lois is being attacked by the Amazons. He quickly saves her and tells her that they must go somewhere safe from Subject Zero. Lois tells him she can't leave as she must stay and end the war. Using his improved powers, Zero reaches England and attacks them. Cal and Zero fought, with Lois standing in the middle. A group of Amazons try to intervene, but Zero killed them. Lois then asked Cal to escape from Zero, but Cal refuses, remembering that General Lane told them that they must protect people from monsters like Zero. Cal continues the battle with Zero, noticing that the energy Zero absorbed from his dead opponents is causing his body to overload. Taking advantage of this, Cal punches Zero in the torso and destroys him in a massive explosion. Unfortunately, Lois is injured in the blast and Cal cradles her in his arms. Lois dies from her injuries, but not before telling Cal to save the people. Mourning her death, Cal decides to be a Superman. In the final battle of the Amazon Atlantean War, Cal literally smashed and crushed the Enchantress, and then he fights Wonder Woman and Emperor Aquaman. However, the Flash manages to change reality again, creating a new world and allowing his friends to live their lives once again, but in a new way. In the Convergence series, Cal is one of the many heroes that were in Gotham City when it was domed and taken to the Blood Moon by Brainiac. A year later, Talos opens the domes and pits each world against one another. Cal is in attendance in Thomas Wayne's decision to prepare for war. He disagrees with Captain Thunder's insistence to strike first in order to win, but is shot down by both him and Cyborg, who insist that Cal doesn't know how lethal this fight can get. Cal discovers Lois Lane within the New Earth version of Gotham City and believes that his Lois Lane has returned and flies off to get her. He finds Lois, who tries to explain that she isn't the Lois from his world, but he ignores her, declaring that he will save her. When he discovered that Lois is pregnant and in labor, Cal took her to the Batcave and requesting a bewildered Thomas Wayne to help deliver the baby. But soon after, Cal was easily defeated by his New Earth counterpart, who came searching for his wife. In the Flashpoint Beyond series, the Flashpoint Timeline was revived. Superman went to Poison Ivy and Jason Woodrue to build a sanctuary for the displaced like him called the Oasis. Jason Woodrue and Poison Ivy found Kryptonian crystals around Metropolis and found out that they contained messages for Kal-El. The message was from his father saying that their home planet Krypton is dying and he was sent to Earth to use his powers to disarm the humans in advance of their arrivals so Earth can be their new home. Knowing about the invasion, he sought Batman Thomas Wayne, but Batman declined as he knows their timeline should not be real and doesn't matter. As a father, Thomas understands Superman's father on doing everything he can to give his son a future he deserves. 5 days later, Superman received a communique from his father telling that once they seize Earth, anyone who is not loyal to Krypton will be eradicated, including him. Superman gathered a team consisting of Swamp Thing, Poison Ivy, Snapper Carr, Eclipsa, and Bloodline, but they weren't really hopeful.
Fight your way to the leaders. Once we have Aquaman and Wonder Woman, this war is over.
Thomas Wayne, aka the Batman, is a cold-blooded and exasperated vigilante in the Flashpoint timeline. Thomas Wayne and his wife Martha exited a movie with their son when they were approached by a mugger named Joe Chill. Joe Chill attempted to steal Martha's pearls with a gun in hand, but before he could shoot, Thomas lunged and attacked the mugger, only for the bullet to hit his son Bruce, killing him, to his parents' dismay. Months later, Thomas tracked down Joe Chill and was going to poison him, but decided to beat him to death with his bare hands. However, Martha was too traumatized by the event that she cut her face into a garish Glasgow smile and soon enough descended into insanity and became his altered timeline's Joker. She even killed Alfred. Thomas Wayne became a vigilante going under the name Batman and started a killing spree of all criminals in Gotham. He soon met and worked with Selina, aka Catwoman, a young thief he once spared and grew attached to like a father figure, leading him to abandon his murderous ways. She was, however, shot by Martha, aka Joker, through the gut and paralyzed, making him relapse into his deadly old ways. On her crime spree, Martha kidnapped the twin children of Judge Dent. When he tracked down one of her partners in crime, Yo-Yo, he interrogated her for his wife's location, but when she refused to cooperate, he threw her off the building. At that moment, however, Cyborg arrived to catch her, and Thomas joked she slipped. Cyborg asked Thomas to join him in stopping the war between the Amazons and the Atlanteans that had devastated Europe, but he refused.
then so are you.
Later that night, the powerless Barry Allen was looking for Batman and entered the Batcave, but Thomas attacked the intruder. He was taken aback when Barry kept calling him Bruce and said he knew he was Batman. Thomas was shocked but wished to learn more about his son and his life in the alternate timeline. Barry convinced Thomas to help in rewriting the timeline, and the first step was to help get Barry's powers back. Thomas created a device that would recreate the accident that created the Flash. The first attempt was a failure, leaving Barry badly burnt, but after one more attempt, the procedure proved successful and Barry became the Flash once again. Thomas Wayne secretly funded his war on crime through his Wayne casinos. He worked closely with Chief Jim Gordon, the head of Gotham Security, as a few years ago the police force was privatized. He worked closely with Oswald Cobblepot, the head of security for all his casinos. Thomas was called by Chief Gordon, who tried to convince him that he didn't have to fight villains by himself. However, Thomas later on refused. Later, Thomas was shocked that the Joker had footage of his friend Jim Gordon being killed. Joker tricked Chief Gordon into shooting Dent's daughter by taping her mouth shut and disguising her as the Joker. Before Thomas confronted her, she slashed Gordon's throat. After Gordon's murder, Thomas showed up to face his ex-wife. Thomas told her he had discovered a way to rewrite history so Bruce was never killed. He told her about Barry Allen and how he helped him restore his powers. Martha, with his knowledge, was so shocked to learn the hardships her son would go through and ran to her death off a cliff near Wayne Manor. Thomas then worked with Barry to recruit a team to alter the Reverse Flash changes to the timeline. Thomas contacted Cyborg in an attempt to find Project Superman, the government branch responsible for raising an alien Kal-El, who was supposedly the most powerful being on the planet. When they found him, all they saw was a pale, skinny man, but when he was exposed to sunlight, his powers activated and he flew away. Batman and his group escaped the facility with the help of Element Woman, but Barry's memories began to change and Thomas was forced to inject him with a drug which slowed down his brain processing. The heroes then headed to Fawcett City to find the team known as Shazam, a group of teenagers who could combine their powers to become Captain Thunder. Using the powers of Billy Batson, they were able to slow down the effects of the combination of the Speed Force and the altered timeline itself in Barry's brain. The team decided to stop the war between Wonder Woman and Aquaman because there is no guarantee that they would win against Professor Zoom. Thomas reluctantly agrees and the heroes headed for New Themyscira in the Batplane, and they also recruited the Enchantress for the mission. Wonder Woman and Emperor Aquaman were locked in battle when the team arrived. Captain Thunder took Wonder Woman while Flash tried to talk to Aquaman, and Cyborg tried to shut down the geo-bioweapon of Aquaman. After Zoom made Barry realize his fault in the timeline, Thomas stabbed Professor Zoom in the back with a sword. However, Thomas is fatally wounded by the Enchantress, who was in truth an Amazonian spy. Before the Flash can run to the past in an attempt to stop his younger self from altering the timeline, Thomas, realizing what Flash was planning to do after despite learning his inadvertent role, thanks him for all he has done and gives Barry a letter addressed to his son and accepts his fate. After Barry apparently restored the timeline to an approximation of its prior self, he visits Bruce Wayne and gives him a letter from his father and told him he could not have done it without his help. Bruce is deeply touched that his father sacrificed his existence for him. In the Flashpoint Paradox movie, Professor Zoom was shot in the head by Batman.
The only way to save the world is to keep this world from ever happening. Run!
In the button version of Flashpoint, when Bruce Wayne and Barry Allen began investigating a mysterious button that appeared in the Batcave after the return of Wally West, they used the cosmic treadmill to track the radiation coming from the button, which brought them to the Flashpoint universe, into the Batcave of Thomas Wayne. Wayne attacked Flash as he believed the two showing up wasn't real and a trick. Barry manages to convince Thomas that they are real. Barry is confused at how they are in Flashpoint and realizes that someone had kept the Flashpoint timeline in place when it should have been reverted after Barry originally left it. Shortly after, the three are attacked by Amazonian and Atlantean soldiers. Thomas and Bruce hold them off while Barry rebuilds the treadmill so they can leave. After the treadmill is fixed, Barry realizes that the Flashpoint world is starting to become erased from existence. Barry and Bruce boarded the treadmill, asking Thomas to come with them. Although Thomas refuses, telling Bruce that he should stop being Batman and find happiness and focus on being a father to his son. Shortly after, Barry and Bruce leave and Thomas is erased from existence along with the Flashpoint timeline. Thomas Wayne is later revealed to have survived this ordeal through the Reverse Flash saving him from his collapsing timeline, all in Thawne's effort to drive Thomas to despair over Bruce's decision to remain Batman. He was transferred by the Reverse Flash into the Prime Earth timeline. Thomas is then revealed to have been working for Bane as part of his plan to utterly break Bruce Wayne psychologically, so he gives up being Batman. Thomas also had a powerful sidekick in Prime Earth by the name of Gotham Girl. Nevertheless, he is still needed to fight the sidekicks of Batman Bruce Wayne. Thomas would later betray Bane by shooting him in the head, sending him into a coma. Confronting Bruce alone, he tells him to give up being Batman and be happy with Catwoman. He holds Bruce at gunpoint after she attacks him. Though he doesn't kill him, he tries to persuade him. Bruce states that he'll be happy and be Batman too, stating he isn't the 10-year-old child who lost his parents anymore and he isn't his father before knocking him out. In the prison, Bane breaks Thomas's back in revenge. Thomas was later transferred to Arkham Asylum and eventually recovered from his injuries. One night, he was abducted from the asylum by Extract and taken to an interdimensional prison ship. He managed to escape the ship in a capsule which crash-landed on Earth 23. He was found by the parents of that reality's Superman, who handed him over to their son. Thomas was then brought to the House of Heroes by President Superman of Earth 23, knowing he is not from his Earth. There, Thomas joined Justice Incarnate in their mission to foil Darkseid's plans to crack open the multiverse and take control of the great darkness beyond. On his journey, he saw all of Bruce's counterparts across the multiverse and realized that being Batman was his son's destiny. The Justice League Incarnate, together with the Justice Society, thwarted Darkseid's plans, but the crack in the multiverse was detached from its position on Earth Omega and vanished. In the battle, he fought Machine Head of Earth 8, and for some reason, Machine Head accuses Thomas's timeline as the cause of his facial appearance. As Barry Allen was trapped on the other side of it, JLI tried to track the crack so they could rescue him. They went to different Earths such as Earth 13 and Earth 8. When Dr. Multiverse tried to destabilize the crack, the Justice Incarnate were divided and spread to different Earths. Thomas was sent to Earth 26 but was rescued luckily by Avery Ho. Thomas believed the threat posed by the crack was too great and attempted to collapse it instead. Thomas tried to kill Dr. Multiverse, who had absorbed the crack into herself, but was himself possessed by the Great Darkness. Then, Darkseid obliterated Thomas with his Omega beams, seemingly killing him. However, rather than die, Thomas somehow found himself back in his own reality. On Earth Zero, Bruce had used artifacts stolen from the Time Masters to trap the Flashpoint timeline in a slow globe to preserve it and save Thomas' life, as it was the only environment in which he could survive. Thomas attempted to escape the Flashpoint timeline, believing it was not real and did not matter. He felt no concern even as the world collapsed around him. Thomas did not care and simply tried to find someone who could help him travel through time and prevent Bruce's death in Crime Alley, thus restoring the real timeline. He went to Barry Allen of this timeline, who was completely unaware of Thomas's predicament. Attempted to recreate in achieving the Speed Force but failed. He also saw his version of the Psycho Pirate killed through a fake suicide. Eobard was also killed. He would soon realize that most of the possible time travelers in his timeline were murdered. Anyone who, on Earth Zero, had the power to manipulate time was murdered by a serial killer dubbed the Clock Killer. The Clock Killer was revealed to be Martha, alive and hiding out in Arkham Asylum. She had constructed a time sphere and killed all other time travelers so she and Thomas could travel back and save their son together. Thomas almost took her invitation, but turned away to save Dexter Dent, realizing that the people of his world did matter as Bruce had expected him to. This stabilized his timeline within the snow globe, allowing it to continue as a pocket universe. Thomas and his new Robin, Dexter Dent, would then join the fight against the Kryptonians.
Superman, close your eyes!
So there goes our part 1 review of the Flashpoint timeline. What do you think of the plot? Flashpoint justifiably positioned an astounding focus on interaction rather than action. It allowed us to see what is constant about these major DC characters and what is subject to change when certain circumstances were placed differently. I think the war between Wonder Woman and Aquaman should become a live-action film. Should we assign an Earth number or letter for this, like Earth F? Which character is your favorite Flashpoint version? Please wait for part 2 review of Flashpoint and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.